we believe at this time, when we originally filed this, that there was a change, Your Honor. However, uh, based on Ms. Chester's, we believe testimony is going to state that they're still doing their 1 week on and 1 week off. And however, she asked us to file because at the time of the filing, they were no longer doing that. But now it is my understanding, and again, we'll get this out in testimony, that they are still doing 1 week on and 1 week off. And this was put into their final divorce decree, which they're trying to modify the final divorce decree. In the final divorce decree, there is no child support set based on this fact that they're doing 1 week on and 1 week off. That is considered deviation. And based on the testimony that if they are still doing 1 week on and 1 week off, then the rule, the Texas Family Code of the 3 years or the 10% no longer applies, but in fact that there has to be a substantial and material change. And aside from the possibly they're no longer continuing it or they are, there's no other changes that I'm aware of, this office is aware of, that would qualify as a substantial and material change at this time.
The case is being heard by Judge Dules Madal in Guadalupe County regarding child support modification. Non-custodial parent Marco Adam Asabo and custodial parent Desiree Nicole Chester are present, along with their respective legal representatives. The Attorney General's office is involved in the case, indicating a modification request for child support.
Okay. How many children do you have with Mr.
We have 3.
And are they all under the age of 18?
Correct.
Now, looks like we filed this back in September 29, 2023. You had asked for our help, is that correct?
It had actually been filed previously before that. I don't know. I know it was like 2 years prior, but I had never heard anything from it. So that's when I had called back and they had showed me how to properly file. But yes, correct.
Okay. So my understanding is that you are asking for child support because there was a change in the visitation.
So the thing that was listed on there was, I know we were getting more time with the kids at the time. It was only like a day, but then we would go back and forward the same. The reason for the request for the modification was the fact that I did get let go from my job because of the school schedule, for the kids. So being that I do live so far away from the kids to school, they had to let me go because I was doing drop off and pick up and just waiting there in the line. So I did have to be fired from my job. So that was the reason why I had asked for some assistance.
Okay. So the visits had never changed. So you were still doing 1 week on and 1 week off.
So we were getting the kids, me and my husband were getting the kids an extra day. And so they would add up, but I couldn't tell you how many days they added up. And then it went back to being the same.
Chester claims a change in circumstances due to losing her job and needing child support, while Marco Asabo maintains a 50-50th custody arrangement. Chester states she lost her job due to scheduling conflicts with her children's school and is now a full-time student. She's remarried. Her husband makes a living. She could work, do part-time work. The problem is that the wife, truly, in her heart and mind, believes she is entitled to this money.
I did write a little statement, if you would allow me to read it.
Well, that's your testimony. Is there any objection, Mr. Mangine? I assume not.
No, I'm not going to object. We don't have a jury present, so it's...
Yeah, I'm going to give some latitude since she's not a lawyer and she's trying to get her testimony in. So yeah, you can read your statement.
I put, Your Honor, I am writing this letter to request support for my children. I'm a full-time student with previous work with a full-time work. Unfortunately, due to location of the children's school and difficulty of balancing work and school schedule, I was let go of my job to prioritize my children's education and well-being. As a full-time student, my time is divided between attending classes, studying, and taking care of my children. While I'm grateful for the opportunity to further my education, it also comes with a set of challenges, one of them being financial strain. I rely on scholarships, loans, and to cover most of my children's expenses. However, the source of income is not always sufficient to meet their needs. I have always been a responsible parent and have provided for my children for the best of my abilities. However, with the loss of my job, I am struggling to make ends meet and provide for my children's basic needs. I believe it is in the best interest of the children to receive child support from the other parent. Sincerely, Desiree Chester.
Let me get this straight. She cheats, gets divorced, remarried, loses her job, decides to go to college, and now wants her ex to basically pay for her college by exploiting her children? That's such a disgusting thing to do. Why should the ex pay for her schooling?
Possession, is that anywhere near the truth, ma'am?
That was only for a few days, but that wasn't what was written on there. The thing that was written on there was for the job.
Okay.
So when they called and asked me about it, they had said, well, is there any way that you have them not 50-50? And I was like, only like a few days, but it's not more like significant.
Well, what I'm thinking is I can only modify if there's changed circumstances. You're telling me the changed circumstances, you don't have a job anymore. But I'm trying to figure out that the job you had when you were in court in the divorce and they ordered no child support, were you making at or near what Mr. Acevedo's making? Were you kind of on the same footing as him as income? Or,
Not at all.
and the court didn't order child support, even with your
No.
full-time job. Because it occurs to me, and Ms. Coates made the argument when we started, is that if he's got the 50-50 split still, and your changed circumstances is, okay, maybe you didn't lose the job voluntarily, or you didn't quit it, they fired you, you still have a duty to support your children. You get that, right? That both parents have the duty to support. But that you're choosing to now go get a college degree so you can't find a full-time job again to make you where you were before. It pains me to say, but if the shoes were reversed, I'd be saying the same thing. Is like, how is it fair that he supports you while you decide, or the children more, while you decide to go get a college degree for the future, when you got a duty support now, and not at his expense that you want to go get the degree? And I'd be telling him the same thing if he was here asking child support for you. You got 50-50 split. Why should she pay for you to go to school? I mean, I'm trying to figure out why that would be fair this way.
One thing I've noticed in every single divorce proceeding I've watched, all these judges allow the woman to speak freely, indirectly, and constant rambling about their lies. Yet the men can barely say a word.
And in the 3 years that you've all been divorced, you've maintained a 50-50 custody relationship, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you provide, now, do you own a house?
Yes, sir.
And you make monthly payments on that house, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And can you tell the court what that monthly mortgage payment is?
It's 1,834, so 1,834 mortgage.
And when we had the divorce, just to clarify, Matt, when we had the divorce proceeding, which I have to tell the court was a rather lengthy pendency, okay? We did complete and full discovery in that matter, and we even did verified inventories. So it's very hard for me to accept at this time that she wasn't aware of his income. Now, maybe last March, when she attempted to go to the Attorney General, maybe that's true. I never got notice of that. But during the divorce, there was full discovery. Everything was disclosed. So each party knew what the other person had. So there was nothing amiss during that proceeding. Now, the other thing that I want to bring out is, let's talk about that incident. And I don't want to open a dirty wound and go on for hours, but could you briefly describe the reason that Miss Chester says that you locked her out of the house?
Was a single mom prior to marriage, cheated on husband who makes good money, has a new husband but wants the ex-husband to pay for school. This video is reinforcement to leave single moms alone.
All right. Reason why is because the fact that she had committed adultery. She was basically living with another individual, had abandoned us, myself and the children. And that's why I didn't allow her to come back. And she was basically trying to force her way in the house, being erratic. And I was just looking out for the safety of my children, myself, my home.
And that led to her calling the police over to the house when she came back.
That happened several times where she would call, but the one incident that she spoke of was due to the fact that she showed up at my house with her boyfriend at the time, driving my vehicle, and I was angry, and but nothing ever happened. She came in the home and gave me my daughter, and I was upset. I'm like, what are you doing showing up here with this guy, at my home? Who wouldn't be upset about that? And she basically was up in my face, but nothing ever happened. I never touched her or anything like that. That was basically like a false accusation. And case was dismissed.
Okay, so moving on here, you have been supporting these children like a good father for these last 3 years since we've had the divorce. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And could you kind of briefly tell the court, and you can use that document, could you summarize what it cost you per month to maintain your house and take care of your children?
Correct. Yes, sir. So basically, I get paid bi-weekly, roughly 3,700, almost 3,800 a month. I mean, bi-weekly, I'm sorry.
The ex-husband should use this situation, this footage, as fuel to secure full custody and demand child support from her. She's saying on the record that she can't support herself and the kids financially. Those are grounds to lose custody.
Your Honor.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying at that time, Your Honor, that I might not have known, but I haven't reviewed the divorce.
Yeah, I know.
And I haven't.
Your Honor, based on
Yes.
her testimony, I calculated what she would have been making,
Yes, ma'am.
$46,930 a year.
Okay, does that sound right, Ms. Chesser? Back at the divorce?
When we did our taxes for that year, it came out to 32 is what it came out for that year. Overtime wasn't always guaranteed, and it just depended on if they allowed us to do work a Saturday. So that was just,
The
but it was
point
about
is, my point's going to be that I can't relitigate the divorce and what they did in the divorce.
correct.
That's a done deal with that judge, with those lawyers, with the amicus attorney for the child, whatever. But if there was a discrepancy in your income at that time, and there's a clear discrepancy now if you're telling me you make zero, but that's not the standard. It's what you should have been making, because he really doesn't have to pay for your decision to go to school and have zero income. You get that. And maybe your husband should be talking to you, or you all should be figuring out if you can afford to do this, or wait till the kids are 18. But well, tell me this, how old are the kids? I don't even know that. Tell me that.
So I have one without Mr. Acevedo that's 17. And then I have, we have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Okay, so the three with him and an older one that's still in the house and in school?
Yes, correct.
And do you get child support?
Headed off to the military, so we're doing that.
You're doing what?
He just recently graduated, so he's not in school, but he's going through the process of his military career. So
Okay.
he do that.
Do you get, well, if you got child support, it'll end when he's 18, that's coming up soon, or do you get child support at all?
I don't get child support for him.
I won't ask why, I just want to know if you did or you didn't. Okay. So you got the three. So I might be the kind of judge that might have given you child support, but I don't do divorces, and I was nowhere near a divorce, and I can't another judge for whatever they did and whatever they was recommended. But what I have to see is what your situation was then and what it is now. And if there's changed circumstances, if the change was you had the child a little bit more, well, then that might have resulted in some minimal amount of support if it wasn't equal 50-50 anymore. But whatever happened wasn't much and you're back to 50-50 is what I heard. So now the only difference I see is that you're not working at all and you were working then full time. But if you chose to stay out of the workforce to go to school, then you're underemployed. And I don't think the law would allow me to give you child support under these circumstances, as much as it might pain me to see him making 100 and you have zero, or that you had 46 at the time, 47, maybe even 32. But that's not the.
Is it me, or do both the judge and state officials seem disappointed that they can't find in favor of the cheating mother and get her more money?
I got to be a hard ass. I got to follow the law. I got to do what I need to do. And if I don't, they're going to appeal me, go to another judge that might say I was wrong, because I've never given child support to somebody because they're making zero. So just because you're going to school, it's not the other parent's job to let you go off to do, he could want a master's if he doesn't already have a bachelor. Could do the same thing. And how fair would it be to tell you to pay him while he goes to school?
This woman is insufferable, and the kicker is that she refuses to work and wants to live the life of a just out of high school full-time college student, living off Pell Grants and student loans. The husband should be in court suing for reparations for all of the grief this selfish woman has caused.
It wouldn't. So I'm still
to say that on the insurance, the kids are all under Medicaid as well. So I know that it does state that he does pay for the insurance, but the kids, all of them are on Medicaid right now as well.
I don't know if the state knew that, or is that part of this case, Ms. Coates?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a secondary. Mr. Acevedo was ordered to carry it in the divorce. And we've seen this time and time again where you can have government insurance and then private
Have it as
to cover the yeah. So he's the primary holder. He was primarily ordered that. Now he just stated he still has it. So
he still has it. I was thinking he hadn't had it. She had to go on government assistance, but no, that's not. This is
no. He testified he still has it, Your Honor.
Has it. So there is no change circumstances on that one either.
And unfortunately, in the divorce findings, all it says is that due to the current possession schedule of the parties, it's ordered neither shall pay child support at this time. There was no finding of their incomes and being offset. So,
okay. I'm still talking to you, Ms. Chester. Do you have anything else you want to tell me that could persuade me in any way?
The bias in the system is a disgrace. The vague remarks about abuse with no evidence provided are a disgrace and should not even be allowed in the courtroom. So why did the judge offer to listen to that?
And on the medical support issue, did you have any argument, or you're saying the same about that? No change circumstances?
Yes, Your Honor. There's no change in the circumstances based on his testimony that he's still providing that. I didn't hear any testimony from Ms. Chester that she doesn't have it, the cards from him or anything like that, but he was ordered to carry it. He stated he's still carrying it. And again, government insurance can still be a secondary when a parent is providing private. So there's no change in this case at all.
Okay, Mr. Mangine, your closing, and make it brief, sir.
I'm going to keep it very brief, Your Honor. I completely concur with the state's closing argument. I don't think I need to elaborate on that, and so I won't waste the court's time in doing so.
Okay, Ms. Chester, it's your turn, and you can stay off camera if you want to. I don't care, but if you want to unmute yourself and make a closing argument, you have the right to do that, a summary of what you believe I should do and why. What your position is.
So, Your Honor, I know that the Attorney General did mention DoorDash or something as part-time. And with having a full schedule as well as doing night classes and anything else without the child being, I can't leave them alone
And my IRS
able
bill.
to do any type of part-time as far as DoorDash. Um, we are going through, me and my daughter are both going through counseling as well, so that does make it difficult to be able to do anything else. I am trying to get her through something, and I am going through counseling for domestic abuse. So it is really hard to try to get or even find a part-time job. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, I've got to admit, I heard half of it. Some of it was garbled, and I don't know why the audio is worse with your video off, or you're too close or too far from the microphone that didn't make it super clear. But I heard the word abuse at the end, so I want you to repeat whatever you said about that situation. I'm not sure I heard or understood what you meant.
So I do know that when the Attorney General did mention DoorDash or any type of part-time job, it is kind of hard to do with the finding this time with doing night classes and doing. I am going through counseling for my abuse,
Yeah.
and I am doing counseling with my daughter as well. So it's kind of hard to be able to maintain, even try to do anything with their schedule, as well as trying to get help from myself. So.
Okay, but okay, just so you know, the standard for non-disclosure is there has to be family violence or some threats or abuse or harm or threats of abuse or harm within the past 2 years. And I know it's been a little bit longer than that since the divorce, but your original testimony did make me think that you were actually under any kind of threat from Mr. Acevedo. Do you want to either tell me something different, or are you telling me all the stuff that happened was?
What was really irksome about this hearing was the judge and lawyer, both women, expressing total regret that they couldn't help another woman scam money from her former husband. I see this in a lot of court cases when children are clearly in horrendous living situations with single mothers, and female judges and female child welfare workers act as if these mothers are doing absolutely nothing wrong, when what really needs to happen is these kids need to be put in the custody of the fathers or put into foster homes.
Ms. Chester, if you're trying to relitigate what the divorce court didn't do or did do or whatever, I can't do that. If all that stuff happened before the divorce, this is too late for me to try to patch that up. There's nothing since the divorce. The law doesn't allow me to protect you because you don't need protecting if nothing's happened. I don't know if you get that or not. You may find some lingering harm. Well, I'm glad you're getting counseling, but it's not a current or ongoing abuse or threat of abuse that I'm seeing here at all, and I think you've admitted. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Coates?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Manji?
No,
Thank you.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Yeah, it really pains me, Ms. Chester. Just, yeah, I can see from your viewpoint how it's not fair, but the deal was you had jobs and you were both supporting your children, and that's why the 50-50 seemed to be ideal at the time. I'm sure Mr. Acevedo was fiercely fighting for primary so that you could pay him child support if he had had the children up to that point, or part of the separation before the divorce. But that didn't happen either. So nobody got everything they wanted, but you can't when a household separates. You can't split the kids in half. You can't have them 100%, unless the other parent really isn't there or gone or dies, or you terminate him, but that just doesn't happen. So you kind of both got the best of both worlds without getting shafted or getting a lot less if one of you had lost. But the deal was you were supporting the children on your dollar, or you were required to do that, and you're still required to do that. I wish the law would be clearer on that, or when or if we should allow parents to go get degrees so that they could have better incomes for the rest of the children's lives, or their lives really, because the children are older and one of them might emancipate before you finish.
The fact that they used "unfortunately" so many times, and the judge said there's nothing I can do, and it really pains me, in a way that sounded like she was desperate to do something for the mother. Why is it painful? The court emphasizes that both parents have a duty to support their children, and that Chester's decision to pursue education does not obligate Asabo to provide financial support. The Attorney General argues that there has been no substantial change in circumstances to warrant modification of child support. The judge ultimately denies Chester's request for modification, stating that the law does not support her claim given the current circumstances. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.